What's up, guys? How is it going? I know it's been a while since I've recorded any Commander content or any content at all for that matter. Sorry about that. I've just been busy with real life. Been playing some Magic, obviously, always thinking about it, but haven't had any opportunity to actually do any recording or really play much Magic Online at all. But I was looking at the archive of my games online, and I noticed that I actually had in my notes some games that I played back at the end of last year, actually, that were moldering in the archive, and I was quite worried that they might actually expire, as often happens to games that have been sitting around for a long time. You just suddenly lose access to them. So before that would happen, I figured I'd go back and revisit some of these games that I had noted down and make some recordings for them. So I'd have some content out there for you guys to enjoy. And this game was actually played back on the 8th of December, and it was shortly after the card Jeweled Lotus debuted. And I got to admit, actually, I was kind of a little bit of a sky is falling moment when the Jeweled Lotus debuted. I kind of thought that it would run roughshod over the format. It would be enabling all sorts of really gross and degenerate strategies, allowing them to come out really too fast. Like I had nightmares of facing the stupid Narset, the 6-mana red, white, blue Narset on turn 3 or turn 2 because of the Jeweled Lotus. And that has not really come to pass. In fact, I can count on probably one hand the amount of times I've actually played against the Jeweled Lotus in a game, but that may not be the experience others have had. Of course, everybody hasn't really been able to enjoy tabletop Commander for quite some time due to the pandemic. So maybe once we get back to playing multi-way games of Magic, the Jeweled Lotus will really rear its head and something might get done about it. But for the time being, haven't really heard much noise about the card, and maybe it's just prohibitively expensive online. That may be one of the reasons why a lot of people aren't using it. But regardless, I was testing it out. I made some other adjustments to this deck based on some feedback from Nate, to kind of make the deck more 1v1 oriented, as it tended to be a little bit more slow and kind of geared towards fighting against a wider range of things and not so geared against things like linear mono blue strategies. But anyway, I wanted to kick things off with this game appropriately against a guy named Can't Believe That, because if you can't believe anything, look at this insane hand. This is literally turn 1 Zur. This is the dream hand, and unfortunately for me, he is going first. So we'll see what he's going to be doing. He's running Kalamax the Stormsire, which is a really interesting card, actually. Again, I think there's a bunch of different ways you can take this guy. This guy is, I mean, this creature's like literally Godzilla. I think that is Godzilla artwork right there. But the first time you cast an instant spell every turn, if it's tapped, you can copy that spell. So you can either probably run this thing in some kind of a very hyper-aggressive shell using pump spells and berserk and stuff to just try to one-shot your opponent with it. And you can also probably use it in some kind of a blue-red-green, I think that's Sultai, some kind of a Sultai combo deck, probably involving things like Wheel of Fortune and the red rituals and stuff like that to do cool stuff. Either way, really neat, inventive commander with a lot of possibilities against a relatively straightforward and linear abusive strategy. So without any further ado, let's kick this off and see how things turn out. He's going to have quite a start, though, I think, to keep up with me. But Arid Mesa, it's clearly a sign of a deck that's at least reasonably focused. He plays Birds of Paradise, so he's got 2 mana turn 1. Not bad at all. It's going to be tricky for him to keep up. I top deck Enlightened Tutor just to make this hand even more insane and disgusting. So Tundra goes first. I'm going to throw away the, obviously, Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth since I don't need extra black. Play the Lotus, and yep, turn 1 Zur. Absolutely nuts. All right, go ahead. Can't believe that. Let's see what you got. He's going to have to draw something pretty damn good, I think. There are definitely plenty of answers you could have. The 4 health makes it pretty hard for red to kill, but a number of decks with a green component. Certainly you could play with blue, something like Pongify or whatever, to just turn it into a creature you could beast within it. And then, of course, there's those green enchantments like Lignify and Kenrith's Transformation, which I think have actually got a ton better in the aftermath of the Commander Legends set, which introduced 2 of the most powerful and abusive cards ever printed, much less for the Commander format, in the form of the Hull Breacher and Opposition Agent, 2 hideously powerful flash 3/2s that I will be talking about quite a bit in an upcoming video. But for the time being, we'll see if he's got any of those answers for Zur. I see him tap 3 mana. I'm thinking, oh, please don't be something like Beast Within. Could even have something like Oko, actually, and he could just Oko the Zur. But instead, all he's got is Rhythm of the Wild. That's not going to cut it. Oko would have been really problematic here, actually. If he had played Oko and turned Zur into an Elk, I have it just stuck in play with no way to transform it, which would be a real pain in the ass. But instead, I still have the ability to just completely go off here. I'm going to cast Enlightened Tutor. I'm going to take a look at the deck real quick here to see what other things. Yeah, so you can see some of the other cards that I've added. There's Flusterstorm there. Yeah, the deck is just so cheap now in terms of its casting costs. Most of these cards have already been in here before. Obviously, I guess there's a limit to, let's see, anything else interesting? I know Inquisition of Kozilek's another card that I think I added to it fairly recently. The rest of it is pretty straightforward. This does not include the super anti-control elements that Nate and I put into the deck a couple of days later based on some of the playtesting he had done. But this is a no-brainer in terms of what I'm going to take. Obviously, it's going to be Thought Vessel. Since Zur enjoys one thing, it's attacking and drawing upwards of 25 cards. In this case, it's specifically going to be, let me just let it click off. Still going, 23, 24, 25. So I'm drawing, I decided ultimately to draw 26, keeping myself at 14 life. By drawing a third of the deck, I feel that the chances of me drawing one of Force of Negation, Fierce Guardianship, or Force of Will are pretty high, and that should prevent him from doing something really crazy like playing his commander, attacking, and I don't know, having extra mana and casting Giant Growth and Berserk or something to kill me. So as long as I have the ability to stop one spell, I figure that I've pretty much got this. We'll see what he does. A million cards go rushing into my hand, and sure enough, there's the Fierce Guardianship showing up. The rest of the hand is more than sufficient. And of course, all he can do is just cast his Kalamax and perhaps go off next turn. But unfortunately for Can't Believe That, there is not going to be a next turn. I'm just going to play a bunch of mana here for free, put like 8 mana into play. Attack with Zur, go get Rest in Peace, hit him for 1. And even play a couple more bits of artifact mana here and cast Imperial Seal into Impulse to go get the Mighty Kill condition. He's fully tapped out. I've got Fierce Guardianship. There is no way out of this. In his hand, actually, I duressed him right beforehand just to see, and he's got Sylvan Library and Ponder. So that definitely looks like he's playing. And with the Jason here, too, it's clearly evident that he's playing some sort of a blue-red-green combo-oriented thing. But unfortunately, that's kind of fair, and it's just way too slow to deal on the turn ones there. So the Helm is resolving. And you can do the ultimate reconnaissance with this card if you really want to. Let's see what we were up against here. It actually looks like this deck is really focused. Honestly, I got pretty lucky. If you look at, I remember looking through his deck afterward. Take a look at this. Pyroblast and Red Blast, both main decked, and Cyclonic Rift as well. So he had plenty of options, plenty of ways to deal with the Zur. He just got very unlucky that he didn't have any of them in hand. And you can see he's got like Swan Song and Dispel. This is a really cool deck, to be honest. There's Pongify too, another card that I mentioned. So he had a million outs, and fortunately for me, he did not have any of them in hand. And as a result of that, it was just a trivial kill. But really cool, cool draw in general. And I thought this made a really neat return to form for the Zur deck. I don't know actually if I have any other Zur games in the pipeline here, but I do have a bunch of other games to record. So stay tuned for that. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you soon.